Fantastic. So thank you for all that and lovely to meet you all. I'm going to go back to speaker view, so I hope you can see the big screen again. So as you can see, this is the rest of our faculty. So not all of them are here with us today, but you can find more about all of our faculty members on our website at riam.ie/about/our-people. And you can contact any member of our faculty if you have any questions specifically about your instrument using the emails are also on the faculty pages with the biographies, but you can use the formula with a faculty member's full name at riam.ie. And our faculty actually love to hear from you if you're a prospective student and you're interested in studying on a undergraduate or postgraduate degree program. Please do get in touch. We'd love to hear from you, and we're happy to advise as well on study. So the key study components at the RIAM I've listed below, and one of the most important ones is that you receive 2 hours per week one-to-one lessons if you study on the bachelor's or master's in performance programs, which is an enormous amount, one of the biggest, most generous allocations in the world. You can also take options in a second study, for example, a violinist wanting to study viola, or a bass player wanting to study historical performance, or a cellist studying Baroque cello. These are all options to do that with your 2 hours. You can split that out and share that principal study time out to do a second study. We have weekly performance classes, which I'll go into more detail on shortly. We have masterclasses regularly, allocated chamber music, a number of orchestral projects each year, assigned accompanists with a professional staff accompanist, and over 100 concerts a year. So we have plenty of performance opportunities. And as Deborah mentioned, we also have these areas of supporting studies, your theoretical learning, your harmony and counterpoint oral, history of music, and also RIAM Holistic as well, which as Deborah mentioned is the place where you do your professional development activity. So what are performance classes? These classes take place every week, and they're led by a range of specialist tutors, and many of them are accompanied, so you'll receive time with a professional staff accompanist. And in these weekly classes, it combines performance, so it would be a student yourself performing, with also, but you wouldn't perform each week, because there's also group discussion and this idea of tutor-led peer feedback. So what does that mean? This is when the group, you learn to give feedback to each other in a really positive and reflective way. And we use these classes to develop a culture of continuous learning, trying to make a sort of learning laboratory at the Academy, because all of us rely on feedback from our peers, from our teachers all the time to improve. So the idea with making this culture is that you're not just having your lesson and then going away and practicing in your own practice room and then going back for your lesson the next week. You're constantly receiving feedback, and in a culture of artists who are all learning and being inspired by each other. So in these weekly classes, you develop performance, your performance skills, your ability to perform in front of an audience, in front of peers, which is quite, I think, often a challenging thing to do. You develop your presentation skills as a performer, and also your collaboration skills to collaborate with your peers. So these performance classes, they rotate topics. So this means that some of the classes are for solo performance, so performing either with piano or solo. There are also special audition training classes on practice techniques, and we'll have a little look at what kind of practice techniques you might learn about in performance class later. We also have style in performance classes where you learn about historical performance or contemporary music, and first and second years who are in a separate class, first and year, second year undergraduates, also have an ensemble project as well. And in this ensemble project, they collaborate together, and this is really a collaborative project which results in a group performance. So here an example of some of the masterclasses that we've had recently or upcoming. I'll just pick out a few. Mairead McCrann is first concert master in Vienna Radio Symphony Orchestra. She gave a fantastic violin masterclass. Natalie Klein, cello soloist, came to visit us a couple of years ago, and she gave an absolutely wonderful masterclass. Timothy Cobb, who Dominic invited over, is principal bass in New York Philharmonic. Shufei Yang, the guitarist, and many, many others, including some really fantastic quartets. These three quartets are upcoming visits coming this year, so that's really exciting. So another aspect of solo performance is that we have some amazing competitions at the Academy and really some incredible world-class opportunities. So between the Moral Dowdle and the NSO Concerto project, 5 students each year have the opportunity to perform their concertos with the RTE National Symphony Orchestra. So these are usually things that we expect that students would do in their later years of study, so in their final year of bachelor's for their concerto exam or their postgraduate study. And there's also the Irish Freemason Musician of the Year, and which has fantastic prizes, and the Gaiety Bursary Award, and this is a project-based award, so it's through a written application, but competitions are a really important part of study. There are also coffee morning concerts that take place from the second semester, and this year we're hosting our coffee morning concerts at the Pepper Canister Church just near Merrion Square. So you can apply for those and perform as a soloist or as a chamber musician in those concerts. So orchestra is an absolutely fundamental part of learning for people for string students who play orchestral instruments. And we have 6 designated performance spotlight weeks, and these focus on intensive performance projects that mimic what you might take part in the profession. So you might have a sectional day and then some rehearsal days with a rehearsal conductor then the main conductor comes. So they're project based, so you'll prepare in a single week for a really high profile and high level project. So we have the RIAM Philharmonia, which does 3 concerts a year, plus fully staged opera productions, and the opera orchestra plays with that. I direct a mixed instrumental ensemble, and we're planning this year a collaboration with Paris Conservatoire as well, for some students from Paris to join with us for this project. And we also have many connections to professional access schemes, for example the Irish Chamber Orchestra's Academy and the RTE National Symphony Orchestra's Mentoring Scheme and the Ulster Orchestra's Professional Experience Scheme. So how do we train you to have the skills that you need for these orchestral auditions? Well, I just have finished a whole week of blind or screened auditions, and I won't show you, but the screen is actually over there in the organ room where I am today. And for this, we invite a professional panel to join faculty, to join myself, and we give written feedback to students. So for this screened audition, what we mimic what happens in the profession and is becoming more common, which is that auditions are no longer open for orchestral jobs. There's a curtain or a screen that separates the panel and the student so that one and another can't see each other, and this is to remove things like unconscious bias, which are becoming important topics of conversation in the music world and in how we choose people for opportunities. So we set excerpts and solo pieces required every year, and we also have classes to train you in these. And this way we're helping you to develop the skills necessary to join the orchestral profession. And for the auditions this year, we had panellists, principal players and leaders from the Irish Chamber Orchestra, from the RTE Concert Orchestra, from the RTE National Symphony Orchestra joining us, so that was really fantastic. We also have audition and excerpts classes as part of performance class, but also special workshops as well, and we engage leading orchestral principals as tutors. So these are the upcoming projects coming up this year, and the conductors who are joining us for RIAM Philharmonia. Christian Kernion is one of the world's leading Baroque music specialists. He's a harpsichord and conductor, and he's conducted Academy for Alto Music Berlin and the Royal Opera House, and he's joining us with a side-by-side with Irish Baroque Orchestra. So in this concert it's focusing on Baroque performance, and Christian is conducting, and there will also be members of the Irish Baroque Orchestra as well sitting beside the students in RIM Philharmonia. In February, Jonathan Hayward is coming, and he made a fantastic BBC Proms debut with the National Youth Orchestra of Great Britain, and he is now principal conductor of Northwest Deutsche Philharmonie, and he has conducted the London Symphony Orchestra and the Royal Concertgebouw Orchestra at Seattle. He's one of the I think the most exciting conductors right now in the world, so we're so lucky that he's coming to work with our students at the Academy. And the last conductor coming for this season is Chloe van der Soterstede, and she is a French conductor who has just been announced as the LA Philharmonic's Dudamel Fellow. So again, she's really an exciting conductor, and she's is conducting a lot of the BBC orchestras in the UK and many of the national orchestras in France. So we're really looking forward to these 3 conductors, international level conductors, visiting us and conducting the RIAM Philharmonia this year, and that we're selecting students through the auditions for them. So we think that connection to industry is a hugely important part of study, because of course we want you to become professional musicians and enter industry once you finish your studies. So being close to industry is really important. So our faculty are principal players in orchestras, as you can see here. They're leading chamber musicians, and you will work closely with visiting guest artists. And you'll also have the opportunity to play alongside professionals side by side. So what does this mean, that this term I've been using, to play side by side? This means student beside professional musician. It's this apprenticeship concept of learning by doing. And it's really, we have orchestral side-by-sides, as I mentioned, the project with Irish Baroque Orchestra, and also chamber music side-by-sides, where you play alongside fellow chamber musicians as well, student alongside professional. And it's one of the most inspiring and rewarding learning formats for all involved, not just for the student, but also for the professionals, because, you know, I've always found that the enthusiasm and the energy that youth, that people who are still in study have, is simply something that we never want to lose in the profession, and it's such a rewarding experience for all. So what I'd like to do now is show you 2 little clips from Side by Side. So the first is from the RIAM Philharmonia and Irish Baroque Orchestra project from last year.
Straight away, we were welcomed into a very safe, friendly environment. Working through our repertoire, we focused on colour, some tricky intonation passages, and of course, how to play together again. It had been a full year since the orchestra had been together, and this time things were a little bit different, with masks, distancing, and extra breaks in between rehearsals.
All rehearsals and goodbyes ended at 5 p.m. every day.
Glamorous job, really, you know.
It's really nice to play this side-by-side project with Irish Baroque Orchestra, because I didn't have really experience with Baroque Orchestra, so I'm enjoying it a lot.
Concert day finally came, and the atmosphere was one of excitement and joy. Because it was not possible to have a live audience, the amazing camera crew of the Royal Irish Academy of Music recorded the concert for a virtual release.
Please listen to our concert today, and we're going to leave the link for you below. But in the meantime, we're having a lot of fun playing together again, even in the distance. And we get to dress up and leave our houses and play beautiful music. So we hope you enjoy it as much as we do.
It's been so nice to vlog this experience, because we got to see everyone's perspective.
So that's just a little taste of what it's like to be part of a project. So the next thing is, what can you do with a music performance degree? There are so many things that you can do, and here you can see a variety of things you can do. As technology rapidly transforms our society, and with automation and artificial intelligence becoming, you know, more part of our society, the skills gained in a creative degree become ever more unique and valuable. And in today's world, many musicians will do a variety of these things in varying percentages, and they'll have the bottom one that you can see here, which is called a portfolio career, which means they'll combine many of these different things, and they will use them all in their career as a musician. So this is an example of where a few of our alumni have gone on to do. Many of them have joined famous orchestras or started ensembles, chamber music ensembles, and combined that with solo careers as well, and some also have joined us as teaching faculty at the RIAM. So what I wanted to look at next, if we have a few more minutes, is to look at the what you would need to do in order to join the Academy. So what do you need to do to prepare for your audition? For undergraduate programs, we look for a balanced and stylistically contrasting program of 15 minutes duration. For postgrads, this is the same, but at least 20 minutes duration, so a longer program. That's what we look for. You have many accompaniment options, because we know that it's difficult at the moment to find a pianist sometimes. So you can record with a pianist, or you can also play unaccompanied, even if your piece is accompanied. You can also play with a pre-recorded track, or you can choose to play solo works. So I'm just going to look about a little into the idea of auditions, and there are three main types of auditions. There's a standard open audition with a panel, which is probably the one you're most familiar with. There's also the screened or the blind audition, which I described. And there is the recorded audition, which is the type of audition that you need to do for your entrance audition. And auditions are part of the music career, so it's really important. They don't stop even when you become professional. You still need to do auditions even as a professional musician, so it's really great practice to be doing them to get into music college. So here are a few tips for entrance auditions, and I've broken them down into planning, practice ideas, and final preparations. So firstly, for planning, it's really important that you choose the right program and choose something that shows your strengths. Don't choose a piece that's a little bit too difficult that you can't quite manage. You know, that's great to study, but don't choose that for your audition. First impressions also count, so do think about your program order. Plan a strict practice routine and set deadlines when your pieces must be concert ready. Organise run-throughs and mock auditions for anyone who will listen, for your friends, you know, play to your friends, play to your family, play to your dog, anyone who will listen to you, and plan those mock auditions and set those deadlines for when you want to have your whole audition program ready. Also, do research the institution that you're applying for and the course that you're looking to study on. All our handbooks are online, and you can find lots of information there, because it's really important that you consider what are the panel looking for, and it's important that when you're making your audition that you're thinking that you know what the course entails. So at the Academy, we're really happy to tell you about what we're looking for. We're looking for accurate intonation, we're looking for good rhythm, we're looking for thoughtful dynamics and an understanding of style. We're also looking for personality as well, and professionalism. So an excellent work ethic and a drive to succeed, a curiosity and a willingness to learn, and a passion for music and performance. That internal passion is irreplicable, and it's absolutely essential to have that if you want to study music. This is a career. It's a career for people who are doing it not just for financial reasons. You're doing it because of your love of it, and that you believe that you want to do it, and that's what all artists do, and you need to have that if you want to study music performance. We're also looking for potential for progress and development, and that's really important. We're not expecting that every candidate will have had the same quality of study, and we're really searching for potential whenever we're looking out for new candidates at our auditions. So practice ideas. Firstly, do make sure that your fundamentals are right. As I mentioned before, that your intonation, your rhythm, your dynamics, and your style are all there. Then after that, I would really suggest that you use recording in your practice, especially because this is going to be a recorded audition. So I would suggest recording yourself both audio and video, because you learn different things from both, and to use recordings during your practice by listening back to short sections, during interspersing and using that as part of your practice. And then as you get further on with your planning, then plan these larger run-throughs and record those run-throughs or whole auditions. Listen back to them with the score in a separate place. Put your instrument down, listen back with the score, make notes, have a break then, and then implement the changes in your next practice session. So next we're going to be looking at practice techniques. And I'm going to be asking you all, I'm giving you advance warning, if you might turn your camera back on at this point, to share some of your interesting practice techniques. So my top tip is to use random practice instead of block practice. So what does this mean? Some of you might already know what this is, but for those who don't, block practice is when we practice the same thing or a similar thing in succession. So that's what we normally do. We go through our piece and we practice the hard bits and we repeat them over and over again, slowly, then a little bit faster with metronome, etc. So they get faster, so they get better. But random practice is also a really great practice method, and this means to intersperse different types of practice together, to interleave practice. So this might be starting in different places in your pieces each time. That's a really basic way, or to intersperse technical exercises when practicing your concerto. So you might do, a short section for concerto, then you'll go to a technical exercise and you'll do a related study relating to that part of the concerto, then you go back to your concerto, and that is also a random practice idea. And there are loads more that you can find, and I'd really highly recommend a website called Bulletproof Musician, which has loads of fantastic practice techniques suggested. It's written by a performance psychologist from Juilliard called Noah Kagayama. And using random practice techniques is really fantastic for security, for reliability, so that you know that you can present the same level that you and replicate what you can do in the practice room in a high stakes performance, and it's really good also for memory. So next I'm going to ask you, what are your favourite practice techniques? So I'm going to just ask of practicing section slow practice. So here are a few examples that I've put on here. So, practicing with open strings if you're a bowed string player, dotted rhythm practice, practicing with a drone app for intonation, slow practice in short sections, we had that. Opposite articulation, so practicing a slurred practice section separate, or etc., or reversing dotted rhythm things. So there's loads and loads of different things you can do, and varying your repetitions. So I'm going to see if I can get to the end here. The final preparations really simulate those pressure situations, and have your mock auditions and run your auditions at uncomfortable times. Prepare everything, not just what you're playing, really all these things, walking in, sound height. And for recorded auditions, make sure you've considered everything, the camera framing, the quality of your sound and where the microphone is placed, and ensuring that your acoustic is right as well. So my very last thing to say is that maintain a positive perspective. Auditions are a fundamental part of a musician's career.